What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
Hello YouTube. As you can see by the box, it says HOVSCO. HOVSCO is a company that we had a review on when we were on the road of a step-through fat tire bike. I think we got it when we first were in Zephyr Hills. I think we did an update in Kissimmee, if I'm not mistaken. But they've reached out to us to talk about their next iteration of what they consider is a crossover between like a mountain bike and a city cruiser. So this is the HOVSCO HovRanger, so H-O-V Ranger, but it's all one word. And this is going to be probably a mid-range bike, I'll say. And what I mean by that is it's in the price range of not the $500, $600 range bike, and it's not in the $1,700 range. It's right around the $1,000 mark. And of course, there'll be links in the description if I have a discount of any kind that will take you to not just this bike, but of course, any discounts that can be applied will be also indicated there. But we're gonna open this up. I'm just gonna show you the packaging quickly. And then I want to assemble it and I want to get into the bike. But basically what we're looking at here is a 27 bike, a 27-inch bike. I think it's actually 27 and a half. The box, when you get it from FedEx, it's going to look like this. In our case, our FedEx guy didn't realize what up and down was, and they had it actually on the top for a while, as indicated on the box here, is kind of rubbed up. But the box, you're looking at about a 70-pound box. But the actual bike itself, you're right about 50 pounds. So manageable. This is not a fat tire bike. This is a 2 1/4 inch tire bike. So if you're looking for a fat tire, you know, which I always consider 3 inch. Oh, we got a little flyer here. You can tell spring is getting ready to hit. 3 inches considered kind of fat tire. And then 4 inches definitely fat tire. Well, this is under that. This is 2 1/4. But it is a little bit of a taller bike, but still quite a few rider heights here. I'll indicate it in this next screenshot that overlays, and you can see what the height is, what the standover height is, how big the bike is overall. And of course, then you'll be able to see me standing next to it and what I look like. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the weight capacity on this is around 300 pounds. And that accommodates a lot of riders, quite honestly. I'm 260. 300 pounds is a lot, guys. And it accommodates a lot of people. So let's open the box, take a look at the packaging, and then I'll get it together for you, and then we'll start talking about some of the features. I think this one has the potential for a pretty darn good range based on the battery and the motor. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Pretty standard packaging, very minimalistic. I like that idea because, you know, I have to get rid of all this styrofoam, as will you. The more I look at this, the more I realize this is like a standard bicycle size. However, one big difference, there's a big giant battery compartment and a motor in the back. So let's go ahead and get this thing together. I'm gonna get it out of the box. I'll probably just lift it out of the box. The reason that I would not necessarily wanna cut the box, like in this case, the front tire, this tire right here, is right up into the corner of the box. So if I would have cut up the side of the corner, I would have cut right into the tire. Although this is a pretty common size, I still don't want to replace it. not brand new. I have a couple of viewers that like to see what you get once all the packaging is taken off and what it looks like as far as assembly goes. You can see this is what you're left with. There is a couple of boxes that we're going to take a look at, but this is it. If you really pay attention or you've been looking at a lot of e-bikes, this one here is on the sparse side when it comes to some of the accessories. You get with some of the bikes, some of the e-bikes that are out there, you may get fenders, you may get a rack. All those are available. And the reason that they make it available instead of standard is because there's people that just don't care. That's the way that you get around paying for stuff you don't need. And I've had some bikes that have had some crazy accessories with it, and it's nice. It's nice that they add all that stuff. But sometimes the accessories aren't really the best quality, and a lot of people won't even use them. Yet somebody paid for that in the final price of the bike. So it's kind of nice that they keep this pretty sparse. So what do we get in these two boxes? This is going to be your battery charger. You see it's labeled HOVSCO. That's nice. It's not just something that has been thrown in there and covers a wide range of bikes. HOVSCO's gone to the trouble to make sure that this one works specific for their bike. And not only that, but you get a 3 amp charger. This is one of the biggest chargers that you can get that comes standard with a lot of the bikes. There's only been one bike that I've had in the past that's had a 4 amp charger. Most of them are 2 amp chargers, which are standard. This one's a 3, so it's a little bit above standard, and I'm glad that it included that because it is a pretty big battery on this. This is like a 15 amp hour battery. You want to be able to recharge that quickly to get yourself back on the road whenever you deplete it. Kickstand, wow, okay, this is a tall kickstand too. Now it is adjustable. This is the skewer to hold the front end on. Make sure that you refer to the instructions. I'll show you the instruction manual here in a second to how this goes on. There is an orientation that you go to be concerned with. Of course, your pedals, and we'll cut these open real quick. And they're metal. Wow, and these cleats are really nice on here. Usually the pedals you get are plastic. I've never broken a plastic one, but the metal ones are, that's a nice thing. Oh, and they got reflectors on them too. All right, this is going to be your shifter guard. That's necessary in case you lay it down. You definitely want to protect the end of the wiring where the motor wiring goes through, and of course your shifter mechanism in case you lay it over, or if you're transporting the bike and you want to lay it on its side, you don't have to worry so much about which side you lay it on when you have this. And then finally, the infamous toolkit that almost all these bikes have, and I think it's going to be pretty standard. Yeah, these are just you know, regular cast tools. You got a screwdriver in here. You have some Allens. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Oh, I do like this Allen right here. Sorry to drag you into it, but this is a mechanics thing. I like the idea of the ball socket. It makes it to where you don't have to be directly onto the Allen head that you're turning. You can be a little off center. There's a tag that was attached to the bike, talks about the model and some of the features. Some of them really, really cool. They're talking about the range. I don't really look at the range because that's going to depend. I mean, if I'm climbing, you know, one of the West Virginia Rockies, one of the Appalachian Mountains, I should say, in West Virginia, you know, that's going to not go that kind of range. You got your speed on here. You can set this to be either 20 miles per hour or 28 miles per hour. That's the difference between like class 2, class 3. However, you've got to be aware that your 28 mile an hour is going to come on pedal assist, which is really cool because this does have a torque sensor. That is a higher end feature. It's not a cadence sensor. So what that means is it's going to apply power to the rear wheel when it's in the pedal mode or the pedal assist mode, and that's the way you want it to operate. As you apply pressure to the pedal, it's going to adjust the amount of power that's going to the rear motor. And that is more accurate than just spinning your crank around with your feet on it, what they call windmilling. You're just, you know, turning it regardless if you're putting any pressure or not. This is going to sense torque pressure and apply the motor, you know, electricity to the motor to give it down the road a little bit quicker. It's a nice feature, especially if you want to stay active. 500 watt, this is a 500 watt motor, not a 750, but the peak is 970 watts. It used to be for a while there that 750 watt motors were only about 900 watts peak, but they've really come along. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you guys are immediately going, well, this is underpowered. You know, do you want a fuel efficient vehicle that has a small gas tank and goes a long way on very little gas? Or do you want to have a small fuel economy car that's good on gas and has a big gas tank? Or do you want to have a big muscle car with a little gas tank? And what I'm talking about is the motor sizes versus the battery sizes. Now, this is a 15 amp hour battery, 15 amp hour. That is a very good size. And if that 15 amp hour only has to push a 500 watt motor, which is 970 watt peak, you're going to get a lot of gas out of that big 15 amp hour gas tank. So basically you have a fuel efficient vehicle with a big tank. That's very nice. That gives you a lot more range, a lot more ability to go places. Now you could easily have a 750 watt motor that peaks out to 1050, and you wouldn't get near the range out of that 15 amp hour battery that you would in this current setup. So I hope that didn't confuse you too much, but basically you're going to get a decent amount of range for the fact that they didn't make this motor a crazy monster muscle car motor with this big gas tank. Also, you got your warranty card. Your warranty on this is going to be a couple years. Read through here for the stipulations that are required for that. And then your user manual, which in this case talks a lot about, riding at night, safety features, the assembly and fit, basically what it should feel like, the specifications again, talking about the battery and the lights. And then they talk about the assembly itself. Again, pay attention to the orientation of the skewer, how to put the front tire on, which is shown here. You kind of see that in this picture. Let's get you a little close. Maybe you can shortcut. You don't have to read through the manual. Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, you can see that the skewer goes through on the disc side of things first, and then that's where the clamp is activated. But all the instructions, it'll explain it all to you in here. The seat, the adjustment, very nice. Good manual, easy to read, throttle on demand. So I got to get this thing together. All right, although it's been a couple days, it's all together. And the reason it's been a couple days, our weather has just turned horrible outside. I've got a little bit of daylight finally showing out underneath the garage door, but it is very windy. We have wind advisories and it's been very cold. So unfortunately, no ride. I did take it for a quick ride in the driveway, but nothing to give you a good view of it overall. So you're gonna have to rely on my experience with these bikes. What I'm gonna tell you is this is probably the closest to a normal bike that I've seen since one of the earlier bikes that we did, which had real skinny tires on it. And what I mean by that is this is, although a little bit shorter in stance, the closest thing to like this. This is our son's bike. And the one thing about having a bike that is real close to a regular bike is that you can actually pedal these. You can actually ride these. They have a good trailing center. They have a good center of gravity. They have good ergonomics, the way you sit on the seat. Although the way I ride, I would need a bigger seat. This is cushioned and it's fine. However, I have a tendency to sit a lot and use the throttle more than anything else. Here I am, I'm 260, I'm 6 foot tall, and as far as the bike's concerned, my standover height is just about perfect. I have a 34-inch inseam, so at least the jeans that I wear. But yeah, this is very comfortable. Like I said, the ergonomics on it are great. Good placement. I feel very comfortable. The handlebars are very wide. They have real nice heel pads on the grips to help you with your support against the handlebars. And again, I think it's laid out very, very nice. The other thing that I like about it, without the fenders in the rack, is that it does appear to be more like a normal bike. I mean, it takes a couple of, double takes for you to realize, wait a minute, that's a big battery there. This is an electric bike. The other thing they kept real sparse. And again, I don't have a problem with this because this saves money. And you just seen that. It's powered by a couple of batteries. It's relatively bright. However, I'm going to say the same thing I say with all of my electric bikes, and that is no. You need to buy yourself a good rear light. To this day, I've only had a couple electric bikes that have had really nice bright taillights, and even then, they did not flash bright enough for what's going on out there on the road with, cars. You need to be very cautious. However, this does give some lighting. This will help you out on the trails. Not bad at all. The other thing, headlight on this, plenty bright enough. It does a very good job illuminating. However, I'm going to go back to the same thing. While you're on the street and you're riding, you may want to get an aftermarket light. There's nothing wrong with these if you're doing just simple trail riding and maybe riding through the RV park or the campground. But whenever you get out on the road with traffic, you need something that just shouts, hey, I'm here, be careful. Look at the display. Now I have these bright lights up overhead, and I'm going to see if I can get out of it a little bit, but you can still see, well, that probably made it worse, didn't it? You can see how nice the display is. And then, of course, the controls are very simple. You got your plus and minus, your headlight's a long press, and then this is the on-off button. There is a menu button there also. If you touch that, you can see it changes to odometer, your trip, and back to odometer again. The plus and minus, of course, is going to give you your pedal assist settings up to 5. There is an app for this. They have an app. Once you get into the app, you can make modifications to these things without using the controls. My personal preference is I don't care about the apps. The apps, for the most part, are gimmicky. I mean, I think there's an alarm that might be potentially available in the app, but I just like being able to use the bike as a bike and not have to worry about my phone so much other than to clip it on the handlebar and use it for possibly getting me around town to get to the grocery store, maybe record some video possibly also. And again, here's the thumb control throttle. It's in a good placement. We'll go ahead and lift the bike up and get you a good powerful motor there. And again, you get 20 mile per hour on your throttle only. You have to pedal to get that full 28 miles per hour that's available through the torque sensor. You do have hydraulic disc brakes. I love the fact that they're hydraulic. Hydraulic brakes are much more, I don't know how to describe it. They are much more responsive. That's what I want to say, which is a good thing, especially when you get into some sort of panic stop. This is a 7-speed Shimano. You have a trigger and a thumb, a lever that helps you with that gear selection. Also, you've got a lockout on your front shocks, and then there's an adjustability that's on this side here, which very cool. If you need a little bit more, you turn it. You need a little less, you turn it. And that's just a preload. I like the way that looks. I like the color. Even though I'm colorblind, it's a nice, tasteful color. This is more of a guy's color, I think. I believe this is called indigo. But other than that, I mean, this bike is very, very good. And I keep on going back to the same thing that I've been saying a lot. And, it's becoming the norm, so I don't know why I'm still shocked by it. And that is this bike just 3 years ago would have been an $1,800 bike. And here we are, and they run $1,000 or under. So there'll be a link in the description for this. This is the HOVSCO HovRanger. If there is a discount code, check that out. It will also be in the description. If you're looking for a pretty good sized bike that, I don't know, makes you feel like you are on a normal bike more than anything else, this will get you down the road pretty well.